Hello everybody! Welcome to another speed build. I have all my technical issues resolved and we are ready to get back into this, so here we go. This was a very small house, not a tiny house, and it doesn't technically count as a small house because of the tile count, but it was small to me because this is the smallest build I've done so far. This is a 1-bed, 1-bath in Brindleton Bay. And it was originally built on the Bedlington Boathouse lot. It comes in at 68,987 simoleons, and it's on a 20 by 20 lot. I really wanted to build something on this lot. I love that it has the beach access. I love that it's small, but building a small house is frustrating for me. It's a little overwhelming. And you'll get to see that. I left a lot of my process in for building. You'll see how I struggle with things, how I change things a lot and change my mind about how I want things to look as far as the actual layout of the house. And especially this porch. This porch on the front went through like 3 or 4 different incarnations before it finally achieved its final form. But I think in the end, this house turned out really cute. Now, the story I had in mind for this house, that, you know, I like to have a story in mind when I'm building houses because it helps me decorate them. If I think about, you know, what kind of Sims may possibly be living in this house during gameplay. So the story that I had in mind for this house was that this was an older couple. Definitely in the elder life stage in Sims, and they've been together their whole lives and they never had any children, and they very much just decided back when they first got together that they wanted to buy this little house on the beach, and this is where they've always lived. And that reflects a little bit in the interior when we get to it, when I start decorating. As far as there's not a lot of clutter, because I feel like these are definitely the kind of Sims where they're very organized. They have everything in its place. So there's not a lot of stuff laying around, but at the same time, there is just a lot of stuff that they've accumulated over the years. So you'll notice how I just had to like redo this porch again. I'm not sure why it did that weird thing with the platforms when I added the walls on for the chimney. I guess maybe because the chimney was connected to that little front bump out area, which is going to be your entryway, your foyer. And that room specifically is, I did raise the platform to meet the platform outside. So maybe that's what happened. I don't know. I don't know the specific reasons for all of the weird little building glitches in The Sims, but I feel like there always is some kind of a reason. I love these windows. I wanted to use them primarily because they match the front door. I do eventually flip them around though, so that they don't have the big stone casing around them, and I feel like that looked a whole lot better. Also, in hindsight, as I'm rewatching this build, I think I should have kept those original lattice looking windows that I had in the beginning. I think those looked really cute. Maybe I should have kept those, but I didn't. These are the windows that we ended up with, so I guess it is what it is. Anytime I have a bad habit of anytime I do a platformed entryway, I always want to stick columns on it and railing or half walls or those nice little windows that like look like they have no glass in them, the open air windows with the little built-in railing on it. And I don't know why I do that. I just think it looks so cute. But I guess that's just like, I guess that's part of my building style, because I always seem to do that. Now, at this point is when I decided I wanted to change the front porch because of the back porch. The back porch is kind of like an odd shape, and that's really what I wanted on this house. Is I wanted the front porch and the back porch to just be different. I wanted them to be unique, not just your typical square landing with steps. And so I think that's why one of the main reasons why I decided to change the front porch. Now you see we've had a time jump here where I've done a whole lot of the landscaping, and mainly this landscaping for the most part, the majority of it. It's just things that I've pulled out of the debug menu, the live edit objects menu, and placed around stuff that matches the landscaping that's already in Brindleton Bay so that it blends right in. And I don't know, landscaping for me is always a very long, tedious process. I feel like it's very monotonous. I tend to cut it out a lot in my videos, but I have had a few people request that I actually do a video. I edit it to where you can see me doing the landscaping. So not my next video, because that one's already edited and finished, but the one after my next video, I will try to leave in as much of the landscaping as possible so that you can see the process of what I do for landscaping, especially since my landscaping tends to be very organic and natural to blend in with the rest of the world that the house is in. Not so much manicured. I really like not overgrown and wild, but just very natural looking landscaping, as if the people that live here have done a little bit of work to the landscaping, but it's really just minimal, and they've let the world that they live in just influence what's here. Another thing that people have asked me about is the terrain paint. And I don't know if I'm one to give tips, because I don't feel like I'm like a good builder. I do this because it's fun, and I share it with other people because I think maybe, you know, they might find it interesting to watch, but like that imposter syndrome creeps in, and I don't feel like I'm good at this. But I have had questions from people about how I do the terrain paint. What I like to do with the terrain paint is, you see the little slider down at the bottom, like where it looks like there's like a little drop of water going into a puddle? That's your opacity. And what that means is like how dark your terrain is, how much you can see through it. I like to leave that about middle of the road instead of turning it up. And then I like to layer my terrain paint. So I've got multiple colors on top of multiple colors. And much like with painting in real life or with makeup, blending is the key to having more realistic terrain paint. So on the areas that I want, like this part here where we're doing sort of like rock or pavement, even though I wanted it to have like a broken up look, like it's been there for years and it's starting to not fade away, but like, you know, crumble a bit. I wanted certain places the ground to show through to give that effect for the opacity. that needed to be lighter. But then you just keep clicking over top of the areas that you want to be darker, and that like completely fills it in with the color. I don't know, it's hard for me to explain how I do it. So hopefully me leaving in a little bit more terrain paint in this video helps you see how I did it. But we've already moved on into the inside of the house, and I wanted these people, yes, they're older, they're in the elder life stage, but I feel like they're still like very active and very fun, and they're not like older as in they're set in their ways and don't want to ever try anything new. So I wanted that to reflect in the color scheme in here. Yes, we've got older looking wallpaper that has possibly like what looks like could be like maybe some water damage at the bottom, but they live right next to this bay. They live with beach access. Salt water in the air is going to damage things on this house. You're going to have mold issues that you have to constantly deal with. You're going to have rust issues that you have to constantly deal with. And I don't know, maybe at some point there was some light flooding. I felt like the wallpaper fit because I wanted it to be like old. I wanted it to feel like it was the original wallpaper at the house when they moved in. But you can also start to see in this living room a little bit about the personalities of the Sims that I pictured living here. We've got one of them that loves, or both of them, loves fishing. So I've tried to have that reflected with not only the boat in the front yard, but also, you know, the mounted fish and various things around the apartment that shows that they like fishing. I have quite a few potted plants on the front porch and on the back porch, and I feel like maybe one of them not so much likes gardening but really likes plants. So they really like taking care of their plants. I've got boxes of board games and puzzles that they've collected over the years. I added in some knitting clutter. So in a minute, you're going to see me pull out the basket of yarn so that maybe one of them is a knitter. I've also going to pull out the cross stitch box and put it out here to kind of go with the cross stitch that I've hung on the wall. I feel like one of them or both of them like to cross stitch, and they're very much about being together and enjoying their lives. Also, for some reason I kept getting like a cat theme reoccurring, like in the cross stitches in the living room. There's a cat on one of them. In the basket of blankets and pillows in the living room, I chose the swatch where there ends up being a cat. And I felt like this was the universe's way of telling me, hey, you're building in Brindleton Bay. It'd be really nice to have a pet here because this world comes from the cats and dogs pack. And I was gonna add a dog because my thought was, you know, it'd be great to have a dog that you could take down to the beach with you, and maybe they'd want to play in the water. But I don't know, something about this house just screamed cat to me. So I do have the things in here for a cat, like the bowls, a scratching post, a cat bed, a litter box. So it's all set up for you to have a cat in here. Of course you can change that. You can change anything about my builds. I really struggled with the layout of this kitchen. I wanted a specific design with maybe a bar area, or at least an area to bar stools up at the counter, and it wasn't big enough for that for me, in my opinion. So that's why you saw me making it a little bigger. And these are things that I typically do when I'm building and get to the inside and start figuring out the floor plan. I make changes like this, and a lot of times I cut those out. A lot of times I cut out the whole figuring out the floor plan in the videos, because I feel like, number one, I feel like the camera jumps around a whole lot while I'm trying to figure out a floor plan. And I don't want to make anybody sick, you know? That's, I feel like you're going to watch this and you're just going to be ready to just throw up somewhere because the camera just jumps around so much. But I've had a couple people ask, you know, why I have those jumps in footage of, oh, there's this, and then now we've jumped to this, and it's the floor plan's completely different. We've got everything all figured out. And it's because sometimes in these houses, if I build them because based on what I want them to look like from the exterior, once I get to the interior and start deciding where I want to lay things out, it takes me a really long time. Like, I'm not a fast builder. This house I built it over like 3 days, probably 5 or 6 hours at a time. So when I build, I'm not that fast. I am getting faster though, which that's good. But it's hard to edit down like 40 hours of footage into a 15 to 30 minute video. But I am taking into consideration, you know, people's recommendations and editing a little differently. One thing I do need to point out in this kitchen, obviously you can't get to that chair and the table that's in that back corner up against the wall. If that bothers you, move the table and chairs out a little or get rid of that chair. But everything else has been play tested. Everything works. I did have to make a few minor changes where I had to move things just very slightly. Nothing that you'll probably even notice. But anything that is changed, it is reflected, of course, in the screenshots at the end. But there weren't any major changes that I had to go about. Like, I didn't have to delete things. There's nothing missing. Nothing in the layout changes. And I have to say, I really love these curtains from the Desert Oasis kit. Quite honestly, if we hadn't gotten that for free, it's one that I may have put off buying, because the whole desert vibe is not my theme. I don't use the furniture from it very often, but I absolutely love the option of having those panels that you can match up with the top parts, the wooden parts that simulate the rods, that, you know, you can give the impression that, hey, these panels are stacked on each other. All of these are open, so that you got this beautiful view out of the back of the house. But you also have all of these panels going around, so that should you choose to, you know, pretend that you could close all these curtains up and have your privacy. But the way this house is situated, I don't feel like a whole lot of people would see up into your house. I did notice though, during gameplay and getting like B-roll footage for the intro, that quite a few people did walk up that hill behind the house and then walk out past the house. So as you're playing this, you probably will have people like walking around your property up from the beach. If that bothers you, I guess maybe throw up a fence and lock the gate. I don't know if that works, because I would assume that, I mean, I know other than like infants, like even toddlers can unlock gates in gameplay. So I don't know. I don't know if that would fix the problem, if that's even an issue for you. But this is the one and only bedroom, and I struggled a little bit with the colors in here, but I love the way it turned out in the end. I've never used this bed before. Peach and yellow is not a color scheme that I've ever done before, but I feel like it all turned out really nice with the peach and the yellow and the pops of teal. I think it looks really, really good. And I liked layering those two rugs under the bed to try to continue the pattern some. And honestly, I feel like the people that I had in mind for who would be living here, the Sims in this house, I feel like that's something that they would do with rugs. Like they really loved the design, they love the pattern on this rug, they love the colors, it's perfect, it's not the right size, let's just buy two and just, you know, stack them together. Good enough. So we've moved on to the one and only bathroom. I've tucked a washer and dryer in here, and I think you'll see it in the screenshots. I did put a hamper in the bedroom beside that chair. So if you don't want to do the whole laundry situation here, it'd be really easy to just pop out that wash, get rid of the washer and dryer, get rid of the laundry hamper, and stick maybe a cabinet or something over here to fill in that spot. Or move the toilet over there where the washer and dryer is, and continue your vanity area over so you have more counter space in here. That would also be another really good option. The mirror over top of the sink in the bathroom is a mirror that I have never used before, just because I think it looks weird with that opening on the side. But as you'll see here in a minute, I really like what I did to kind of decorate that opening. I pulled these hanging plants out of the build by menu, and I sized them down and tucked them up in there, and I think that just looks so cute because, you know, keep in mind one of the Sims here likes plants, so I feel like there would just be not only the plants outside, but they would have a few plants inside as well. Also, I've got the dentures in a cup in the bathroom, and I've got the dentures in the cup beside one of the sides of the bed in the bedroom. And this is the first time I've been able to use the dentures in the cup from the bathroom clutter kit, and I absolutely love them. I think it just really, like, knocks home the whole storyline of this being Sims in the elder life stage. I think that was such a cute thing to throw in the bathroom clutter kit. Like, it's not something I would have ever thought of to put in the game, but I like it. I think that was a nice addition. And as you noticed, I moved the litter box over out of the bathroom. I wanted the litter box in the bathroom, but there just wasn't enough room for it in the bathroom. So I've moved it over into this little extra room here, which I turned into like an office crafting room. I used the craft looking desk and just stuck a little laptop on it, because once again, I feel like, you know, judging by the flat screen TV, flat panel TV, normal TV in the living room, and various other little things that, like, yeah, these people kind of, these Sims that are in this house live a somewhat simple life, but they're also not opposed to technology. So I feel like they would have a laptop in here. Plus, any type of computer is great for gameplay, because there are just so many things that you can do on a computer with your Sims for gameplay. This laptop with all the clutter around it, it does work. However, you have to sit your Sim in the chair first and then click on the laptop. There's only a few things left to do. I'm finishing things up. I add some scratches around the litter box on the wall, and some scratches around the scratching post in the living room on the wall, because I felt like that was very appropriate. You know, the cat would be scratching the wall. I mean, when I've had a cat in the past, especially around the litter box, they would scratch the wall around the litter box. So that seemed very appropriate. But thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. I hope you love this house as much as I love this house. I really enjoyed this one. Stick around for the screenshots, and afterwards, that sneak preview of the next build. As always, download this off the gallery using pyxiedusted, my ID. Bye!